Lasso, lasso. So nice to see other human beings. um, but yes, very happy to be amongst people. Mm. um, the teaching that we are going to attempt today is a very, very from one angle you can say it's a fundamental teaching, fundamental Buddhist teaching, because mm, you will not find any mentioning of bodhicitta or any specific practices of bodhicitta, not even a word compassion, as I think is in this sutra, in this 21 pages sutra. So if you just remove few words like in the beginning, we have Buddha was on Vulture Peaks mountain with 2,500 monks and then many bodhisattvas. So if you remove that many bodhisattva part, then give it to a Sravaka practitioner, maybe our Theravadan friends. I don't think they will know that it's actually a Mahayana sutra. So it's very unique in that regard. And as I say, at a glimpse, it may feel like it is a very fundamental Buddhist teaching. But it also says that practicing the teaching that is taught in this sutra, one will become completely enlightened Buddha. Then, now that makes it very unique again. And always a challenge when you come across a text like this, that you have to present is sort of fundamental. You have to present it in its fundamentalness, so to speak. Good luck translating that. And but then you also have to then not forget to bring in the sort of the essence that is far beyond fundamental Buddhist teaching. We have had the great fortune of translating this sutra some years ago, and the reason was His Holiness Dalai Lama was going to give this teaching, I think somewhere Sarnath or Bodh Gaya, I don't remember clearly, and they needed a translation quickly, so we really rushed through it, and it only took us 1.5 years to prepare this, I think. So if there are any translators here, you know that that's not enough time to be translating and editing and arguing with the arguing amongst translators and editors, and then finally have something ready to be published. So if there are any mistakes, which I'm sure there are, I apologize, since it is our team who did that. mm, the name Rice Seedling, Noble Rice Seedling Sutra, it is derived from the object Buddha was using to to give this teaching, to give this sutra. Mm, So yes, and this sutra is extremely important for uh, Madhyamika tradition, and it seems that Nagarjuna may have gotten a lot of his um, sort of teachings of emptiness from here, because generally we assume that Buddha gave teaching of emptiness from the sutras, but he didn't explain them. For example, he just say things like, there is no self, or what is the easiest way? Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than the form, form is not other than the emptiness. Like that. These are presented as if they are already established. And maybe it was. Maybe when Buddha gave this teaching, it was since the listeners were so advanced, they didn't need it extra explanation or reasoning. Maybe this was enough. Maybe Buddha just say it, and it was so transparent for them that they did not seek any extra information. So this is what generally people believe, that um, there are two ways of seeing the reality of phenomena. One is through devotion and through listening. So in that category, we put the teaching of the Buddha, that Buddha just says something is such and such, and he does not need to explain because of his presence and because of the uniqueness of his students. He does not. Then another way, the other way of seeing emptiness or seeing the reality is that through analysis, through discussion, and through using reasonings. And usually we consider that was not there until Nagarjuna came. Sometimes people really think like that. I myself have been guilty of doing the same thing, that as if only when Nagarjuna came, then it became a tradition of then teaching emptiness, ultimate reality, through using reasoning. But not at all. You see that most of the reasoning, many of the reasoning that Nagarjuna used are taught in this text, this sutra. And what also shows the importance of this text for Nagarjuna is that he wrote two commentaries to this text, to this sutra. That is unique in itself for an Indian master and someone none other than Nagarjuna, the father of Madhyamika tradition, to write two different commentaries on one text. So what he did is that what he did was that first he wrote the teachings of this sutra in poetic sort of in verses, and then he wrote self-commentary to his commentary. So it really shows how important it was for Nagarjuna. I just want to sell the sutra to you guys first. In short, if someone wants to gain enlightenment, without having the understanding of the teaching that is taught in this text, it's just not possible. There is no way. So great masters like Kunchen Korampa, when he counts sutras that were very important for masters like Nagarjuna to came to the conclusion that he did, and then to form a whole new school, he also counts this sutra, Salujangpa, the rice seedling sutra. And I used to think that, oh, it must be a very big sutra with hundreds of pages, you know. And I was very pleasantly surprised that it was not. It was not. That it is just 21 pages. And well, as we are gathered here as Dharma practitioners, motivation is then supreme. We have to generate proper motivation. To generate proper motivation, we have to remove obstacles to having proper motivation. Speaker and listener alike. Generally and specifically at this moment, we have to try to distance ourselves from concerns of eight worldly dharma. Eight worldly dharma, sorry, it is really true poison. Once your dharma practice is tainted by any of these eight worldly dharmas, then it is going to rust. The merit is going to rust, and it really does the functioning of what a poison does, you know. Eight worldly dharmas, they are wishing wealth, wishing wealth. Not generally wishing wealth, but here, somehow, through this type of, for example, as a teacher, if I come here solely for offering, you know, that is your worldly dharma, and listener, somehow you may have ideas, oh, this will make me calmer, and or this will could give me ideas. Some of us may even be aspiring to become teachers. Then rather than listening to teachings to learn, we listen to teaching so that we can teach, you know, again, like that. It's kind of similar. Then second is seeking respect, seeking yes, seeking respect from others, basically recognition. It doesn't matter. As a speaker, as a practitioner, in whatever sense, as soon as this creeps into our mind, we have to be aware. the Gur, Chakpa, seeking fame. Third one, and then seeking joy and pleasures, using dharma like a pain medication may be okay in the beginning, but even after 10, 15, 20 years of listening to teachings, when we still do that, that is eight worldly dharma. So when we wish these four, when we wish these four for ourselves, and when we do not wish these four to our enemies, to those who we don't like, that becomes eight worldly dharmas. Not only that, then speakers and listeners, we should also try to be humble. Try not to be under the influence of arrogance and pride. The fifth Dalai Lama says, a speaker should teach with one pointed motivation that the listener will gain enlightenment through this. That whatever I teach, whatever I say today, should go, into the direction of complete enlightenment. And I think same goes to the listeners too. So this is, that's how we remove the obstacle to having proper motivation. Like I said before, of course, if someone who is listening to these teachings for the first time and has motivation only to maybe have a good life, some come to teaching, they say, oh, I really like to think about Buddha, and and it really helps me and make me peaceful. That's good. That is then the first sort of type of motivation. It's worldly motivation. This will not fulfill the intent of this teaching. The intent of this sutra. Second type of motivation is to really have renunciation. Renunciation, obviously, from suffering and cause of suffering and so on, but mainly renunciation from self-grasping. As Shantideva says, he asks, why do we have self-grasping? He asks the mind, why do you grasp on this body and your experience as yourself? What makes you so sure that this is the right thing to do? So it's the case that from beginningless of time, we are born. We do not know from where we come. Past is complete darkness. We do not know where we will go. Future is also in complete darkness. All we know is what is in front of us. And to whatever that is in front of us, we grasp. And this grasping comes with a belief of a self. And we do not know why we have it. But surely this is the reason why we are in samsara. Um, anyway, we will discuss this further. So then someone who is really tired of it, who imagines how it would be to be without such a grasping, to be truly free. This type of grasping is sometimes likened to a prison, sometimes likened to a poisonous snake, sometimes likened to a burning house, uh, sometimes likened to a demon in our heart. So then surely um, to be free from such a grasping, it really would be true happiness. This type of motivation is kind of now towards the right direction. And of course, here we believe that we are all Mahayana practitioner. Then our motivation should be also then according to that. Then seeing the selflessness of all sentient beings with the compassion, thinking, how come, when there is no self, when actually there shouldn't be any anger, jealousy, harmful intention, yet we are full of it. All sentient beings, we are full of such negative emotions. That is a cause for concern and compassion. Then thinking in this way, when someone makes a decision, I must do something, either in this life or in next life, I'm going to reach a state, Buddhahood, Bhumi of Bodhisattva. I'm going to reach a state where I can actually help benefit sentient beings to realize their true nature, selfless nature, and to liberate them. That is now the kind of motivation that is needed now. Especially listening to such a sutra that teaches Abhidharma. Abhidharma means that which is that which is seen directly by the wisdom. So, with that type of motivation, since, like I said before, last time I was here, I really like your Buddha statues. Everywhere in Berlin, here, this really reminds me of Mahabodhi statue. Little bit different. Mahabodhi statue's face is a bit longer, nose a bit longer, but mostly very close. So then since we are also going to talk about Sutra like last time, I would like to request you to try to sit straight and object of meditation is in front of us, Shakyamuni Buddha on the Vulture Peaks mountain, surrounded by the monks and the bodhisattvas. Mm, mm, You, right in front of Buddha, just stand. You can use this statue or any statue you have, or just look at the Buddha that you imagine in your mind, and imagine the Buddha, his gaze fixed on you, and just watch his, starting from the white hair here between his eyebrows. It looks like a white dot. That's actually a hair, curled into this curled into a point. And one of the Guru Yoga of Shakyamuni, composed by Jamyang Khyentse Chuchulodu, he says, concentrate on that. And then slowly think about the eyes of the Buddha, nose, mouth, his hands, his robe, just the general, what is it, aura, just the demeanor of the Buddha. And how would you be if you would actually end up in front of Buddha one day, like a traveler who has now finished the journey, like a guitar whose strings are broken now, nothing to do, just watch the Buddha. Please. Mm. Thank you. That, I hope, gives us the permission, blessing of Shakyamuni. Because you might wonder, how come Tibetan teachers do not teach sutras so much? It's not because we think that sutras have not much in it. It's because we respect the sutras a bit too much, that we, from the beginning, we say, oh, only a bodhisattva on the bhumi can understand the sutras. So why teach it? No one will understand, neither the teacher nor the listener. So we should just read what Nagarjuna wrote about the sutras. People like Aryadeva, yes, Padmasambhava, Shantarakshita, Shakya Shri Bhadra, these we automatically from the beginning we put sutra very high, and sometimes it becomes bit problematic, because the Indian teachers, when they came to Tibet, they taught a lot of sutras. The translators translated all the sutras. So obviously it was meant to be read and to be taught. But then there would be by now hundreds of different schools if the Indians and the Tibetan masters would not have been very careful from the beginning, just go towards the teachings of Nalanda and Vikramasila and settle on that. Because each of these sutras, they have the potential to form its own schools, and there would be no Dharma authority too. Everybody would just make up their own schools. Some would be authentic. Some definitely would be not. And it would be very chaotic and almost no way of deciding what is what. Because they will claim that they have different sources. So obviously it was a great move by the Tibetan kings and Tibetan masters, definitely the Indian masters, to really stick to teachings coming from Indian masters, especially Nalanda Vikramasila tradition. But then we also lost a lot of teaching tradition of many sutras, which is also very sad. And thanks to Dongsa Khyentse Rinpoche, he is really reviving it now. He is translating the sutras, employing many translators, and he himself is teaching it. His Holiness Dalai Lama is doing that too. I heard of some talks that in some Shedra, now they're going to start teaching sutras too, not just Shastras of Nagarjuna and so on. I'm sorry if it's too technical, but you should know that this is how it's going to be. It's a sutra talk, and yes, I'm in the category of those who will make mistakes in explaining. Um, yes, so that was my way of then requesting the blessing, invoking the blessing of Shakyamuni. Well, I give oral transmission in the afternoon session. I think it's better. People are a bit sleepy anyway, so yeah. So the sutra starts thus with "Thus have I heard at one time." Or did they? Yeah, thus have I heard at one time. Evam maya shrutam. I think Sanskrit goes like this. This was, during the time of Buddha, there was no need to be his teachings to be written down, so they were not written down. There were so many realized bodhisattvas and arahats, so who do not forget anything. And the study was mainly your teacher sitting in front of you and repeating all what he or she has heard from the Buddha, and you hearing it once, twice, until you memorize it. So it was not needed to be written down. Then slowly, the monks started having doubts, and they asked Buddha what to do in future when people are not so wise and intelligent. Then Buddha says, at that time you should write my teachings on palm leaves. And you should start with, thus have I heard at one time. And at the end, you should end it with, when this sutra was taught, gods and asuras and humans and non-humans all rejoiced. So when Buddha passed away, then after some years, Mahakasyapa, he rounded up the first great council of 500 arahats. And then this was uttered for the first time again when someone like Ananda sat on the throne made of 499 dharma robe of all the other arhats. So this is what they did, they pile up all of their dharma robe on top of each other to as a respect and to give the authority and authenticity to the speaker, And Ananda was very special. When people ask him to be the attendant of Buddha, he said, I can do that, but then you and the Buddha have to agree to 8 different things. So there were many, like, I will be the one deciding, when people come to see the Buddha, may I be allowed to bring them directly to Buddha without any sort of unnecessary bureaucracy, like that. He had 8 different wish, and one of it was, may Buddha take me everywhere where he give teaching, and if I'm not there, later Buddha has to repeat whatever he taught to others to me. So he had vast hearing, learning. So then when they sort of gathered the teachings of the Buddha, and they said, thus have I heard at one time. It is said that hundreds, thousands of celestial beings were present there, and they started weeping. Sort of, they now really understood that Buddha had passed away. Sort of, it really hit them. And yeah, so this is sort of like the history of these lines. Thus have I heard at one time. So obviously, it shows the teaching. Thus, meaning this is what I heard. So it shows the teaching. I heard. It shows the retinue or the listener, student. Thus have I heard at one time. It shows the time. And obviously, if you have heard a teaching, there has to be a speaker, so it shows the speaker. And if you have heard teaching from a speaker at one time, it has to be somewhere. So these 5, the teaching, speaker, listener, time, and place. These 5 are shown from this the beginning sentences. Now this will be the same when you study Tantra. In Tantra, a little bit different. Maybe the place will be different, sort of, but mainly same. Then Hinsar Rinpoche says, this really, thus have I heard at one time. Why did the collector, of the teaching say that? Thus have I heard. Why not? Thus did the Buddha teach at one time. Why didn't he say that? The reason why they say is because the speaker is, the one who is collecting the teaching. He is saying, I don't know what Buddha really said. I cannot decide that this is all he taught. But what I can say is that this is what I understood, and this is really, really quite important for us. Many Indian and Tibetan masters believe that believe that there was no time when Buddha gave Sravaka teaching or Mahayana teaching or Vajrayana teaching like separately like this. Buddha just spoke. No one knows what he spoke in its entirety. Humans heard human language. Celestial beings heard celestial being language. Animals hear animal language. I'm sure they have a language, you know. And similarly, those who are on the Sravaka path hear Sravaka teaching. Those who are on the Mahayana path hear Mahayana teaching. And it goes, those who are on the Vidyadhara path hear that teaching. Yes, thus have I heard at one time. One time is also kind of important. It really stresses that such a teaching is extremely rare, and Buddha only taught it once. And if this person wouldn't be there, this teaching would not survive. Since this is a sutra teaching, it is bound by time. Vajrayana Tantras, on top, when you hear this, there's very sort of, it talks about directionless, and what does one time means? One time means forever, like that. So, meaning Buddha is always teaching this Tantra. They say things like that, but that's, right now, those are sort of nonsense. Buddha only taught it once, only taught it once. And now you might think, oh, but how come they say Buddha taught this? Because actually most of the sutra is spoken by Maitreya. Actually, the entire sutra is dialogue between Maitreya and Sariputra. If it would be like a movie, Buddha wouldn't be appearing in this at all. So yes, we believe that this is this is one of those teachings where Buddha, it is considered to be teaching of Buddha, since it is blessed by the Buddha. Just like the Heart Sutra, where Buddha is in meditation from the beginning. Only at the end he says something excellent, because it is said that whatever question and answers that happens in front of Buddha is influenced by the Buddha. That all of it is sort of created by the Buddha, so there would be more and more teaching moments, Yes, that. So the teaching goes like this, that Sariputra, he hears Buddha teach on Vulture Peaks Mountain, I think with the retinue of 2,500 monks, I suppose. Where is it? 50? Yeah, that's better. 1,250 monks. In the Kamalashila commentary, he says, this shows that this teaching was given not long after Buddha became enlightened. The number of the monks. Well, he's Kamalashila, so let's believe him, because anyway. So he says, because after Buddha gained enlightenment, one of the biggest sort of uh, gathering of students happened when he tamed Uruvela Kasyapa, Uruvela Kasyapa, uh, um, a great practitioner who thought he had attained enlightenment. So he thinks he had attained enlightenment. Who thought that he is an arhat, and Buddha goes to on purpose to him to tame him. He Uruvela Kasyapa had 500 students, which is a huge number in those days, of very sincere practitioners, 500 students, and they had a mekang. It's like it's a kind of a temple, but where they burn a lot of fire, and they practice there, in that temple. And in the night, no one can go there because there is a very vicious naga living there who is going to kill you if you are there in the night time. So definitely, if you are not belonging to the sangha there. So Shakyamuni comes one evening and says, "Oh, can you give me a place to sleep tonight? I want to sleep." And sorry, not to sleep, a place to practice tonight. And he says, "Where? You and I are different tradition. What do you what do you what do you want to do here?" Say, "Oh, I want to spend the night in your temple, the temple with the where you burn your fire." And like this, and in the morning he thinks, "Oh," first he says, "No, it's dangerous, don't do it." But Buddha says, "No, no, it will no harm to me." And in the morning he thinks, "Definitely that guy is dead. So he slowly opens the door. Buddha is calmly practicing like this in many, and he also sort of, the naga is also tamed by the Buddha. I think the naga appeared like in the form of a huge giant snake. I think that may be better to understand. Like this way, he really, but so he sees that and he thinks, "Oh, this monk, Gautama is very strong, but I am also strong," he thinks. I'm also an arhat, like this, but he keeps thinking like that. And Buddha keeps displaying many, many, many miracles. And finally, Buddha says, "No, you're not arhat. You're not, you're not." So, and that really destroys his ego. He leaves his teaching and asks Buddha, "Can I follow you?" Buddha says, "Yes." He follows. 500 of his students follows, and they all become monk. Now Buddha has 501 monks, or maybe including him, 500 monks. Then they all throw their weird malas and fire burning substances in the water. And as they were getting swept by the water, down there, two of his brothers are living, each with 250 students. I don't know why it's exact number like that, but it is. So you cannot do anything about it. And they think, "Oh, what happened to our brother? Is he dead? Something terrible must have happened." So the first one goes with his 250 students to help, and finds Kasyapa become monk. Kasyapa view completely changed. I think already become Arhat, elder brother, also their kind of their teacher, So then they say, if you become monk, then this Gautama must be great. I also become monk. So now count 500, 250, 250. That's 1,000 monks. Yes. I had to make a very critical choice this morning. Do I want to go through the sutra word by word, or do I want to then talk more about the historical and maybe also then get to the main point? I thought maybe do both half and half. I haven't been in front of people for a long time, so my behavior, you cannot judge me by my behavior right now. Recently, I was taking a walk, and the path where I have to go, there were 4 or 5 people standing and drinking beer, being happy. I didn't like that. I know I don't like seeing people because I've been in a basically in a barn for 1.5 years, 2 years now. You see nobody. Everything is closed. Only the Amazon guy comes. We don't. Yeah, and I didn't come back from that road. I just kept on walking. you know, and I took a very long detour to avoid passing through these five people. And I realized, this lockdown has changed me. What are we? Yeah. So 1,000 monks, and then the second one is related to Sariputra. 250 monks still remaining. So then by that I also introduced Sariputra. Who is Sariputra? One of the main character. He was born to a very well versed, learned family. Not sure so rich, but maybe moderately rich, because that was his aspiration in his previous life. Seeing that too much wealth creates obstacle, too little wealth also creates obstacle. He makes aspiration to be born in a moderately rich family. The same day, his best friend was born, Mogal Janaputra. I think these were names of their mothers. Sari, part of the Sariputra. Putra means son, so the son of Sari and the son of Mogal. Anyway, they grow up to be well learned, sort of good looking young men. One day during like a fair, when they see sort of people dancing and singing and playing games, Sariputra is completely sort of disillusioned. He's tired of all this now. Every day is the same. Every day looking for something, And Mogal Janaputra finds his friend distracted. There's so many. Yeah. Every day is the same. Yeah. When Mogal Janaputra looks at Sariputra, that he's so distracted. Ask him, what is the matter? Because there are beautiful dancers dancing and so on, you know. Sariputra says, I'm tired of all this. What is the aim of all this now? Every day, the same thing. I want to find something that really makes sense, that is true essence. And his friend says, I was thinking the same thing. We should leave everything and just go in search of truth. So they did. And they went to a teacher named Sanjaya, who had 250 students. Now, now you get to the point. So, still I have problem. Did the 250 include Sariputra or not? But anyway, they became the best students, these two, but still not happy. They realized our teacher's teaching is great, but this, I don't feel like this is liberation. This is going to liberation. So they decide to find more teachings, make promise to each other that whoever finds true sort of teaching that teaches the reality, the true essence, the person will not go to receive the teaching but come back so that they can both go together and receive it. So then in this way, as Sariputra and Moggallanaputra sort of goes their way, I forgot which city or town, but so Sariputra sees a monk so calm and as if he has no rush, but also very, very sort of, just by the look at it, he judged everything just by look at it. That this person is very different. And he goes to this monk, who is actually Asaji. I think one of the first, the 5 monks to whom Buddha taught, I think is one of them. Tatul. Tibetan name is Tatul, I think. And he says, Venerable, who are you? And what is your teaching? He says, I don't have teaching. I follow someone called Gautama Buddha, the enlightened one. But of course, by that time, I'm sure Sariputra had heard a lot of people who called themselves enlightened one. So he asked, what does this enlightened one teach? Chonam tamche chen le jung teju tejin shebo zo dile jo goba kain ba gejon chimbo digeso digba che mijaji gyo puzum sobo charang simu yong to the din sange tembo. These 2 stanzas he recite that says all phenomena comes from causes and condition. And the causes of condition of enlightenment is taught by the Buddha. How to seize the causes of condition of samsara. This is what the great sage, monk have taught. Like that, and I think only this stanza, either only this stanza or the stanza that also comes afterward, that says to not do any non-virtuous action, do only virtuous action, tame your mind. This is the teaching of Buddha. I think only the first stanza, he said. Shariputra heard it, immediately understood it. That very point, he saw the nature of phenomena. He saw the path of seeing. Basically, he became a sublime being right there. So inspired. He says, I must become a monk. Where is this Buddha? I have to see this great teacher. And he says, oh, Buddha is staying at such and such place. Sorry. Then he immediately goes and calls upon his friend Mangalyanaputra. Mangalyanaputra looks at his face and says, have you found nectar without me? You know, Sariputra then repeats what he heard. Mangalyanaputra reaches the first bhumi, path of seeing, just by listening to that too. They go to their teacher and say, we are going to Buddha. The teacher do not want to come. I think according to Theravada tradition, the teacher says, Shakyamuni Buddha is teachers of wise and intelligent practitioners. But who will take care of the idiot practitioners, those who are not so smart? So I must stay here and teach. And as these two leave, 250 followers also leave and become 250 monks. All right, now you have 1,250 monks. I would still like to argue with Kamalasila. What about Sariputra himself? That's 1,251 monks, but all right. Sorry about that very long introduction, but I found it very funny, but So that's Sariputra. According to Mahayana tradition, he is an emanation of a Buddha of past. And one of the greatest master of Tibet, Rongten Sheja Kunrik, he was one of the first teachers of Buddha who had 10,000 students studying. So his monastery was called Nalanda in Tibet. His monastery was called Nalanda. So good. He is supposed to be rebirth of Sariputra. Then Maitreya is obviously the future Buddha. So it goes like this, that Maitreya was one of the main students of Shakyamuni before he became Shakyamuni, before he was born as human. when he was residing in Tushita heaven, seeing that the time is so right to be born as a human being, he decides to be born on earth, and he gave his teachings and responsibilities to his best student called Ajita, one who cannot be conquered. So that's Maitreya in celestial form. Then in His Holiness Dalai Lama says, and also I myself also read in some sutras and teachings, that Maitreya is also called Chamepu, like just as Sariputra, he is also called Chamma, is Maitri Putra, like I should be something like that, yeah. So it sounds like the name is actually his mother's name is given to him. Anyhow, it seems that during the time of Buddha, there was a monk or a lay practitioner called Maitreya as a human being, not just some celestial being, as many times we think. The name, one reason why he got this name was because it is said that in many, many lifetimes ago, when he was also born as a monk, and day and night practiced kindness and compassion. And he became so accomplished that wherever he go, people become kind. Sometimes families would be in big fight, and then suddenly they just feel overwhelming kindness towards one another. And then they realize that there is a monk at the door asking for food. That's how he got his name, Maitreya. Anyway, so Sariputra goes to find Maitreya. They meet and exchange pleasantries, and they sit on a flat stone. Kamala Shila says this shows the urgency of receiving teaching, that they didn't even look for a proper place, just on a flat stone they sat. Then Sariputra asks to Maitreya, "Oh Maitreya, just now Buddha was looking at a rice seedling, and looking at that, he says, those who see dependent origination sees the Dharma. Those who sees the Dharma sees the Buddha." And then that's it. He doesn't say anything. So Sariputra says, what does he mean? How does seeing dependent origination makes you see the Dharma? How does seeing the Dharma makes you see the Buddha? By the way, I'm already in the sutra now. Just in case you think, what is this guy talking about? So, and anyway, what is this dependent origination? What is this Dharma? What is a Buddha? So Sariputra asks this, and then the rest of the sutra is answer of Maitreya to these two questions. Now, the first question was, how does seeing dependent origination makes you see the Dharma, and how does seeing the Dharma makes you see the Buddha? So that's the first question. The second question, which actually should be the first question, is what is dependent origination? What is Dharma? What is Buddha? So he asks these two questions. Kamalasila says, I hope he really didn't mean that Sariputra had really such doubts, but he says that Sariputra asks this question because he couldn't understand why are they related. He couldn't understand how dependent origination, Dharma, and Buddha, three different things, come together like this. That's what he says. I thought about it, and I wrote a lot of notes on my tablet which got deleted right there. I was the whole 2 hours work, but as luckily I had in the car I wrote something in the book, so not everything is lost, because Sariputra is an arhat. You cannot become arhat if you do not see dependent origination. So he must know what dependent origination is. But I can understand that some might think, well, Sravakas, they practice dependent origination. They see dependent origination. Do they also see Dharma? Dharma here, for example, they say Dharma is the eightfold noble path. Eightfold noble path. Yeah. But this is all what Savakas have. But does it mean they will become Buddha now? Because Buddha says whoever sees dependent origination sees Dharma. Whoever sees Dharma sees Buddha. So then, how come people like Sariputra, Moggallaniputra only become Arhat, not Buddha? I thought this could be more sounder doubt to ask the question. If you can, I don't know. But of course, Kamalasila is Kamalasila. Really one of the greatest Indian teacher, and so kind to the Tibetans. He did so much. He removed wrong ideas from Tibet. He had to do big debates, even though many Tibetans don't like him at that time. He had to establish Dharma. He wrote the Bhavanakrama teachings, the stages of meditation in Tibet for the Tibetan kings. So obviously, great master. I think in Padamba Sangha's biography, Padamba Sangha says something like that I am Kamasila, that I never died, I went to China to Wutai Mountain. I'm telling a lot of stories today. That's not good. We're not finishing them. Anyway, he says, I went to Wutai Mountain, and there I sat in meditation for 12 years, and my stupid followers thought I'm dead. And locked me in a cave. I woke up after 12 years just by myself. And I slowly left and went back to India. Then I have a new name. And in Tibet, he got called Padamba Sangha when he came back again. Anyway, but I thought this could be one really good reason to doubt. Because Arahat also see dependent origination. Pratyeka Buddhas also see dependent origination. Does that mean, because according to Buddha, they should see Dharma? And if you see Dharma, according to Buddha, you should become Buddha. So I thought that was a good doubt. Now, like I said, all the skillful means of the Mahayana teaching is not taught in this sutra at all. Yes, bodhicitta, compassion, which is one reason why just following sutras by oneself could be very dangerous also, because some sutra deals only about relative truth, karma, compassion, cause and effect, like that. And if you form a whole school based on such sutras, you're going to get stuck. And some sutras only teach emptiness. Then if you form a whole school based on only that, big danger, you will have a nihilistic view. So teachings in the sutras are scattered, basically. which is one reason why we follow the Indian writings of Indian masters. Um, um, another reason why Sariputra asked this question is to, of course, for the benefit of future generation. Sariputra is Arahat. In his own right, his journey is finished. In his own, yeah. No real reason to ask all these questions actually. But only for the benefit of others. Sariputra asked this question. So that we, people like you and me, will know what is dependent origination. We know what is the Dharma and how enlightenment is reached. That is another reason why Sariputra asked this question, I think. Then my conceptual mind thought of one more reason. Because we have two types of emptiness. It's a really bad language, but okay, we have two types of selflessness. Selflessness of a person, selflessness of phenomena. Yes, of phenomena like table, house, Selflessness, to become an arhat, you only have to see the selflessness of oneself. You do not have to meditate on selflessness of tree, others, like that. But to become a Buddha, you have to see the selflessness of everything. Now, selflessness of phenomena is not really taught by the Buddha for the Sravakas in their Sravaka Sutras. So then, to make Maitreya talk about that, selflessness of all phenomena, I think Sariputra asked this question. So, with these two questions, I think better to talk about the second question first, or second answer, I think. What is dependent origination, right? Moment. Oh, yeah. Sorry. This is the first question. I made a mistake. What is dependent origination? what is the Dharma, what is the Buddha. Mhm. I think one of the first talk I gave in 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 the first public talk I gave in Europe was in the other Rigpa center in Germany, the Berlin. And I talked about the 12 links dependent origination. I think either that or the four seals, because I think I talked there 2-3 times. I think somehow I already talked about this. Anyway, now dependent origination is really a unique teaching of Buddha. Something that is really not found in any other spiritual tradition. Dependent originating. The term suggests that it is not singular, like a divine power that when you ask someone who believes in like a phenomena of like a creator and so on, at some point they have to believe in a singular power. Because that is the whole point. Then so all this phenomena created by a person or an energy. What about that energy or a person, creator? Then most say, no, they just there, just there. You understand? You know, uh, uh, yeah, just there. Because I hear some people make fun of, like they say, what is it isn't it the first day when God said, "Let there be light"? Yeah, and I hear many people make fun of that. They say like, who did he say it to? You know, why did? And I think they miss the point of it because there's no scientific way of going about it. The moment you believe there is a creator, you have to say things like that. That's just how it is. The moment you have a true source, like one singular source of everything, you kind of have to leave behind all the logical reasoning that we usually follow. So changing divergent, dependent originating. It says dependent, meaning it's not singular, meaning nothing is all creating, all powerful. All powerful, yeah. Meaning nothing is, or meaning everything is somehow intact for the moment, I don't know how to do that. Like ashes thrown in a river, somehow they manage to stick together, understand? Just like that. We don't know. Yeah, like that. Everything somehow dependent. Originating then explains our experience. Even though phenomena do not truly exist, experience do not stop. I like when I look at during a very hot day, I look and I see mirage, isn't it? Mirage. And I can repeat to myself billions of times, that is not there. Doesn't help. Causes and condition together, I always see it arising. Now you have dependent originating. Really, this is the skeleton of Buddha Dharma. Yeah, this is the skeleton of Buddha Dharma, and and this is really the source of Dharma. What is the first? What is the first seal from the four seals? Yeah, Ziegel. Ziegel? Goat? Oh, okay. What is the first seal? First seal is all compounded phenomena are impermanent. First seal is teaching impermanence. But you cannot talk about impermanence if you do not understand compoundedness. Compoundedness is dependent origination. Compounded phenomena means 100,000, probably, for this flower here. It's compounded, and it looks like it has 50, 60 petals. Each petal has billions of different causes and conditions. Have to be. Actually, each petal should have innumerable number of causes and conditions. The things that make this flower has to be there during the making of this world. You understand? Because, flower comes from a seed. One person who plant, water, earth, sun, manure. Now, trace the source. Manure comes from animals. Water comes from who knows where. What is it? Maybe it's Leistung water, Wasser? Maybe it's, or it's rainwater. Don't know. For many different places. The planting person itself, the quality of this flower right now depends on how well the person took care of it. Maybe there's some slight damage on certain side. Maybe can now reach this. And that's because that day The guy was completely drunk, no mood, and he got sunburned. Strange things, all of this. So you go back, you reach the beginning of this earth. Now, we do not believe that there was nothing, and then from nothing, poof, the earth came. That's against the principle of Buddhist teaching. Yeah? So, in the Abhidharma, they teach from the debris of other worlds, when they come together, they are brought together by wind energy, and they bang each other, fire is created. Not burning fire, but just heat. That creates moisture. Things become harder. They stick together. Kind of, this is how they explain in the Buddhist text how this place came to be, our place. Now, so during that time, the things that make this flower, its causes and condition have to be there. That goes back to other different realms in different directions. Now you see what is compounded phenomena. Compounded because it comes from many, many different causes and conditions. Then compounded because it's not one thing. Because for this to be a flower, it depends on its stem. The stem, the what is it? The middle part is like where all the pistils are. Yeah, that the center, all the leaves, smell. This is a rose, so all the thorns, petals, all that makes it what it is. Again, compounded, dependent origination. You see, without understanding dependent origination, all Buddhist path gets undone. Not possible. So, dependent origination, we have two. You can see, yeah. So they are categorized into two types of dependent origination. Dependent origination of cause and effect, and dependent origination of what is dependent origination of dependent existence. Yeah, I explain it. It's not cause and effect, like good, bad. That's what I mean, like here and there, name and person, yeah, name and object, the idea of cause and effect. Everything that you label, all the labels and ideas that, all these are, these are mental phenomena, not there. They are not, they do not come out of causes and condition, like seed and rice seed and rice seedling. And because it is like that, when a cow or any other being sees a rice and rice seedling, they may not have such knowledge of, oh, this is cause and result. They may not have such knowledge as, not necessarily. They may not have such knowledge as what is good and what is bad. They may experience that, but they may not such ideas about it, definitions about it, especially ideas like branch and the center, or we have ideas like that. And sometimes we think branch and centers are separate, like a sort of a center organization and its branch organization. All mental phenomena. Sometimes we do not differentiate between branch and that to which the branches belong to, like body and parts of body. And especially in this category comes self, idea of self, mental phenomena. You cannot go and find, oh, the self, there is a good sort of place to grow some self. It doesn't grow in nature. It is mental phenomena. Meaning it's not there outside or inside, anywhere we look. It's there because we think it is there. So with self come others. Time, again, another big mental construction. Idea of time. The problem is, as soon as people believe time exists as an independent phenomena, I don't know, like anything in this world, earth, water, fire, whatever. People believe time exists. In this tradition, again, there is no time other than the objects. There is no time other than happenings. Cause and effect. Change of objects are named time. change of objects or object themselves. Now, there is no such thing as time anywhere, yet mind experience whatever that is in front, remembers the experience of past, have expectations of a future. Time is born. What else is there now? Yes, then all this differentiation of sentient beings and Buddha. Yes. So these are called dependent origination, but they are not dependent arising. They do not arise. They are not born. Sorry about that. I think maybe right now people may not differentiate like different origination and dependent arising. Like in German, I don't know. But to become Buddha, to become enlightened, free from samsara, one has to see this type of dependent origination. Yes, it's shown good. It's not cause and effect. It's not born anywhere. Okay, that's enough. So let's say. And then the other one is cause and effect. So whatever. Grass, the trees, this body, the place, these are belonging to this type of dependent origination. They arise from gathering of causes and condition. Yes. Kamalashila says, not me, Kamalashila says, again, when one practices the dependent origination of cause and effect, one will gain higher rebirth. But only after seeing the dependent origination that is not the cause and effect one, is that better? You know, the second type, like ultimate truth, relative truth, emptiness, object. Important one is subject and object. Why is this subject? Because that is object. Why is that object? Because that is subject. It's a very strange argument, you know, like that. Without seeing this, one will not gain liberation, he said. I think I bored you enough now. But in the afternoon, we really, talk about the dependent origination in detail, especially the 12 links dependent origination. It's really important to understand this, to have a Zamdor Rinpoche says, when a yogi or a yogini contemplates on the 12 links, one truly understands the extent of different samsaric net that is being made every day. It's as if we are caught in this samsaric net, but it's not just one net. Every day, more and more layers of net added to it. And practitioners get tired. They're thinking, when will this end? What is beyond that? Will we ever be able to go beyond this? This type of renunciation, sadness, it's not like you see somebody suffering or you experience yourself suffering and then you generate renunciation. It's much more deeper than that, where you really understand that all the suffering and the joys of samsara, it's just it's like coming after one after another, and each one brings the next one, each one brings the next one. You experience everything like a river, waterfall, and almost no way to stop it.